Well, she started modeling at a young age of 8, and her image has graced the top magazines. But Jennifer Strickland shares what the world behind the runway is really like in her book, Girl Perfect. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We all read your book. We all loved it. But tell us, let's start at the beginning. 8 years old, how did you get started in modeling?
I was kind of an awkward kid, and my mom was basically trying to help me out and get me some grace. And so she enrolled me in a little Cinderella class at our local modeling school.
So how did you go from there to Versace and living in Europe and all? I mean, at what point did you know, wow, I could make a living doing this?
Well, I was always told that if I wanted to make it in the business, to go see Nina Blanchard. And she was the empress of fashion on the West Coast. And I went in and saw her, and she signed me, and we were off to Europe.
At age 17,
At
right?
17,
So
yeah.
here you are, you're just a kid.
Yes.
And you're off to Europe by yourself.
Yes.
What did you encounter?
At first, it was benign. You know, at first, and isn't that the way the world is? You know, at first it all seemed okay, but the deeper I got into the modeling industry, the more I was in situations that really young girls shouldn't be in. For example, a lot of times we were put together with, you know, older photographers that didn't necessarily respect us the way that we needed to be respected.
Talk about that a little bit. You tell some horrific stories.
Yes. And I tell the stories because I don't want the girls to be duped by what they see in the magazines. I want them to know that there were times that there was a photographer or a client who didn't just take my picture, but afterwards, you know, tried to attack me in the hallway.
It seems like one of the things that happens is you go into it with the right attitude and for the right reasons, and then slowly, without your even knowing it, your own self-worth and your own value become wrapped up in how these people treat you.
That's right. And, you know, Nina Blanchard, my agent, believed I had a really good head on my shoulders. My parents believed I had a good head on my shoulders. I was educated, I was smart, I was strong. But over time, it was like a stripping away of my innocence, like a chipping away of that little girl inside of me that just needed to be loved for more than what I look like, or just needed...
When did you wake up and smell the coffee and say, I don't know who I am anymore, and something's got to happen here?
Right after I did the Armani shows. You know, I really believed, you know, that little girl growing up doing Broadway and JCPenney's fashion shows in the mall and standing like a mannequin in store windows. For me, getting to the Giorgio Armani shows was, I thought, going to be this arrival. Yeah. And it wasn't. It wasn't an arrival. On stage, it felt great.
Yeah.
But I remember going backstage and looking around at the other models around me and literally just standing in line to go back up on the stage and thinking to myself, is this really an arrival? Is this all there is to my life? Like, maybe I could have love in my life. Maybe I could have purpose. Maybe there could be more, and I didn't know what it was. But shortly after that, I knew that they liked us so bone thin, and I admit, I did what had to be done to get to that place. But then... thin was never thin enough. You know, perfect is never perfect enough. And the anorexic is never satisfied with the reflection in the mirror. She never, this is just really an issue for all women. We never look in the mirror and go, oh, girlfriend.
I have arrived.
I'm looking good today.
This is it. This is it. No, there's always a flaw. There's always
a family dinner that sort of changed things, didn't it? And when did it really start to change, where it was more than just an epiphany where I don't know where I am, to a whole new way of walking?
Well, after I did the Armani shows, I went home and I spent some time with my family, and of course my mother was like, eat, girlfriend, you know, because I was so thin, and so I ate heartily, and I was around people who loved me, and I was trying to get well, but I had jobs back in Europe after that I had to go back to, but I couldn't leave the emptiness. The emptiness followed me.
And we should say also that when you went back to Europe, it wasn't like you had packed on the poundage. I mean, we're talking about maybe a 4-pound weight gain that you very desperately needed while you were at home.
Yeah.
But that changed things for you when you went back to Europe. What happened?
It did. Well, I lost the Armani shows because I wasn't as skeletal as I was, and that's, you know, that's the business.
But you make a statement in the book, when Armani doesn't want you, nobody wants you. Wow, what a devastating place to come to as a young girl. So along the way, somebody shares that there's a different way for you to live?
Yeah. I began to pray, you know, if there is a God who sees me, show up and show your face. And after that prayer, I met many people who came into my path and began to tell me things like, you can't sell beauty. You cannot put a price on beauty. You cannot sell your face. And turn around now and go the other way. And I met a series of people who shared Christ with me, and often they didn't even speak my language. They got me English Bibles and, you know.
All from a prayer.
All from one,
But now talk about this, because here's the thing that you're doing that has first of all given you the accolades of many, put you in a position of affluence, given you all kinds of money. Did you grab hold of those words right away, or was it a process?
It was a process. It was a process. And it was a process of letting go. You know, that was my dream when I was a little girl, is to be up there on that runway. And I thought that it was going to be the arrival of my life. And it wasn't. It was a departure. And I had to let go of that. And then I had to let go of my beauty, because as the anorexia that I suffered from began to ravage my body, I had hormonal problems, my skin broke out, my hair fell out. So then I lost my beauty. Then I got everything stolen from me. You know, and I thought, well, I'll just make the money. If I just make the money, you know, and then the money didn't satisfy. And so it was a slow stripping away till there was really nothing left but me and God, and me saying, you know, if you love me in this state, then that is the only thing that can save me now.
It's huge now among young kids to watch these reality TV shows. What would you say to these little girls who want to be models and they see the glamorous life? But what would you say to them?
I would say that God gave them gifts and talents, and He put them in their hearts and in their spirits when He made them, and that they are more than the flesh. They are more than what they look like. And these girls are living in a generation that is obsessed with their image. They are obsessed with how they look and how they dress, and they believe it's their value. And I would say to them, it is not your value. You are valued because there is a God who sees you and loves you and hears you and understands you, and you are valued for more than your outward appearance. Plus, it's going to change anyway.
You bet.
The way you look is going to change anyway. So you can't put all your stock in that.
You know, I love that your book is so open and so vulnerable, so truthful, and I think that's what girls have to hear today. Is truly, you know, what is out there, what the enemy has lurking out there, and what God has for us.
We live in a very shallow, beauty-conscious culture, and your book really brings the message of what matters to that.
And for more of Jennifer's story, get a copy of Girl Perfect. It is really fantastic. You can find it on our website. We want to thank you so much for sharing with us. Really appreciate it. And coming up, imagine being so neglected